Hey everyone, Whip here, and welcome on back to Minecraft. Today we're going to be talking about build styles. What are they, how to use them, and how to take your one house using the build style of it and turn it into a bunch of other ones. Now before we get to the build for today, I want to quickly talk about what is a build style. What does it mean to use a build style? You hear these terms all over the place. Everybody's talking about, I built a Nordic style, I built the medieval style, I went with a futuristic style. But within those themselves, people are using build styles or a style of building or just a different way of showcasing something inside of the game, and most people don't really realize what they're doing. So in today's video, I was hoping to tackle that topic here a little bit more. So what is a build style? Build style is something where you're using similar colors, similar shapes, maybe the type of environment or in this case, the biome inside of Minecraft that you're building it in, the atmosphere that you're trying to create around it. Is it a spooky build? Is it a happy and rainbows are everywhere? Like, what are you trying to do with it? Are they kind of a gruesome type of like people living in the area? Is it a fantasy race? And even down to simple things as such as the temperature inside of the build that you're using. Like this area right here, the build style that I went with is I want to create a farming valley, like a farming village. So this is a very warm environment, and maybe they have a little bit of rain going around here to help with the crops and everything like that. Granted, in Minecraft, it kind of rains everywhere if you're not in a desert or a savanna. But I took that into account when developing the build style here because I wanted to have roofs that had a little bit of a slope to them. That was commonly used to help get water off of the roof so it didn't cave in like you might see in some of the desert styles that you see inside of Minecraft. A lot of them have flat roofs inside of the game. So in this case, we did that. Then inside of here, there weren't many trees around in this valley, but there's a lot of stone and those types of things. So a lot of the buildings here are made out of stone, and that is pretty consistent throughout the area. Then if they wanted to reinforce it or build it up further, they were using wooden elements. So a lot of the areas in this place that have a second floor, the second floor is a wooden base to it. Now taking a look at a totally different environment, we are up here in my Nordic city, which is up in the snowy, cold mountains in a giant taiga forest of sorts, basically a giant evergreen forest or spruce tree forest, whatever we want to call it. Here's the roofs, and a lot of the buildings are a lot steeper, or they're using the traditional Nordic style of roof of wandering traders running around this place where they had a grass sod roof. So we changed up the roof so it's not even a dirt roof, but that allowed me to use a lot of snow on here to help it bring in that temperature feel that I was talking about earlier. It feels very cold up here because there's a lot of snow all over the place. Literally, this place is covered in snow. And that allows us to create that environment, creating the temperature up here. And a lot of the shapes that you're seeing along these houses are very similar because they have this traditional Nordic roof style that you can see right here. Whether it's on an angle or whether it's a really tall roof or whatever it might be, that is a pretty consistent theme across this entire build because I wanted this area to feel like everything was fitting together. Now over in the desert that I previously mentioned, this is something where we can look at a lot of the colors that are being used here. This is a pretty typical sandstone style desert city, but the way that this build becomes more unique and a lot of the things flow together well is you'll see a lot of red sandstone accents along here. Not many buildings are built completely out of red sandstone besides this maybe the giant mega structure inside of this area, but you'll see a lot of red sandstone around here kind of symbolizing wealth and bringing in the bit of more colors of the environment. Then there's a lot of very crazy splashes of color like we're seeing with all of these market stalls, but you'll see a lot of blues and just different types of carpet colors and things around here to add splashes of color to the environment, but they all kind of fit in and blend well together. There's not too many that are crazy off or a different variety of colors besides maybe in the marketplace where it's supposed to be very bright and colorful and just kind of crazy in there. But a lot of the roof toppings where they have these carpets to create some shade, you can see they're very similar toned along those environments, which helps bring in the blue of that bridge right over there. And then the red sandstone is kind of being used as the upper points of kind of creating those highlights on the higher ends of the buildings. Well, we've done enough of talking about build styles, so I figured it's time to come over here and work on the build styles. For starters, we're going to be building up that original house that we're standing right in front of. This one, we're going with a very, very basic Minecraft build style. This is kind of what you start with your typical day of starter house, because I felt like that would bring the easiest concepts to get along here. This one, however, I made a little bit of an L shape, so it's just not, that just one room house that you typically live in for the first few nights here in Minecraft Survival World. But anyways, for this one here, what we're going with the style is we have these oak beams on the corners, we have cobblestone as a base layer, and then we're just using oak planks as kind of the paneling, I guess, on the sides of the buildings, on the sides of the build. And then on top of that, we're using a spruce roof. The difference in the spruce roof for this side is I didn't bring the stairs all the way down to the sides. You can see it goes slab, stair, stair, slab to top it off, and brings it back down the side. Then we're adding a few glass windows and using some spruce trapdoors as the sides, and then, you know, all that rest of the stuff. Moving over to the next build though, we're going to be talking about how to enhance the build style that we're using here. How to build a house that's not just a direct clone of what you built the first time and add to your village that you might be building. So we're starting off with the exact same pattern here, but on this side, instead of an L shape, we're going with a little bit of a plus sign shape. A lot of these things are going to be really, really similar. Adding in a lot of the windows on this one, as you can see, it's kind of the same stuff moving throughout here. But the important thing on this is the shape is different, but the other attributes still apply. When you're thinking of build style, try and keep a few of the things similar, but maybe mix up one or two of them. So in this case, we have the same build palette, the same blocks are being used, the same type of environment is there, the same general shape of the roof is there, but the actual shape of the building itself is different, being the plus shape here instead of the L. Now on top of that, to mix it up, I added in a little bit of a chimney there. Then coming over to the third part of the third house design, what they're going for in this one, we're going to be mixing this one up even more by showing how you can add a second story to your Minecraft build. Obviously, multiple stories can be pretty interesting. It breaks up your skyline from just being kind of flat, and it adds a lot of depth to it. I think adding in 2-story, 3-story houses to environments are a great way to mix things up. You don't want all of them to be the same height, but you want to have some things that are a little bit different. Now on this one here, we're making this a little bit more different than we otherwise would have, because it'd be a little boring if we just went through and added oak planks going all the way up to the top. So you can see I used the stripped oak log in there just to help having that little bit of a border going on the sides. Then also to make this one a little bit more interesting, instead of having the whole place filled in, I added that little bit of a shed off to the right hand side there. Then bring in a lot of more detail bits using some fences to make sure that wall isn't so flat, and adding on our traditional roof designs, keeping the same build palette, but again, changing the shape of it. Then the windows are the same, adding in our oak leaves for detail, and this could be a little bit of a starter storage room if you want to go outside for your storage things. For some reason, I always build them like that. But that's kind of 3 different designs. They're all in the same style, but they're different shapes, and it works out great. This one right here is just going to be a clone of our original one, but showing how it can be done on an angle. You'll see the important part for the doors here, because obviously you can't have a diagonal door very easily, is I just simply brought that back another block and have it be a little bit more, like adding a little bit more depth to it. And then for the roof, we're just going to use slabs stepping up the entire way here, so it just comes up to a single peak on this, and it keeps a same smooth roof design. Using stairs on diagonal roofs can be a little difficult. It just doesn't work out too well sometimes. So on this one, you can see the very basic shapes of this, using the same exact ideas throughout for everything else that we're using, the same block palette. Everything else is pretty similar. Adding in another chimney back there to bring that in here as well. They're adding just different elements that are going to relate. But there you can get a good shot of how I did the door on this one. But as you can see, here is the exact same build style, just with a diagonal house on it. So these are a bunch of different ways you can mix things up. For this one, I know all we've been doing so far is houses. So for this, I decided, why not mix up from doing a house, and let's build a little bit of like a blacksmith, so you can build shops on here. This one I want to make sure it's 1 block taller than everything else, and using a little bit more of that stripped oak log to have a little bit more variety. Maybe it's a little bit wealthier because it's the blacksmith after all, so they might have a little bit more money, because everybody's always going to need tools for farming or whatever it might be. Then creating a little bit of a side area over here where they can do their blacksmithing job and everything like that. This whole thing is raised up another block with that solid cobblestone pallet, or that thing that they're standing on, blanking on the word for it. And then over here, we're adding in that area that would be the workstation, adding in another little forge design of sorts, so they can have the hot forge where they're actually going to be working, doing all those things. You can see a little bit of an outside design of that right now as we're kind of moving towards this one. But overall, this build feels very similar to the rest. It just is a little bit more fancied up using that stripped oak log as the base in here. And that's kind of the general design of it. And apparently we are going through the bottom of the world here. Yep, definitely playing that. There we go, professional. I swear, everybody, I'm a complete professional at this video game. Definitely should have checked that before actually doing an audio recording, but we are good. There we go. We are back out of the ground. And that's kind of what the build looked like in the end. You can see that it's all kind of coming in here together. There's a bunch of different styles. We're using the same block palette on all of them. The shape is being mixed up, but the general environment and atmosphere between all of these are very consistent. And just adding in a few oak trees, you can easily just turn this into a village in its own right. If you connected all those things up and maybe added a small well in the center, you're pretty much set for your first ever Minecraft village there. So I hope you all enjoyed this one. Let's take a little bit of a look down along the ground here to see what this thing looks like a little bit better. And there we have it, folks. We took this one original Minecraft build style design right here and turned it into quite a few other ones that you could add with a lot of variety. And whatever village you're trying to create, just doing something like this would be able to allow you to have a lot more life in your village. Instead of building like this one here, rotating at 90 degrees, pasting it there, rotating another 90 degrees and just pasting it there, and doing that again with maybe 2 or 3 designs, this is a really simple way just to showcase a bunch of different ideas. Simply what you could do on this one is maybe you have this guy right here, remove the shed. So just cut this entire section that we had that overhang right there, cut that off of it, and you're good. Or maybe take a few of these, grab some of the fences and just kind of do like a little bit of like a covered up area right in here. We can fill this whole thing in, and you can fill that with some flowers and just some other things going on there, maybe a small wheat field. It's just a great way to add a lot of extra depth and life into everything that you're doing inside of Minecraft. I do hope y'all enjoyed this one. Please be sure to hit that like button down below if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are brand new, and I will catch you on the flip side.